We have met a lot of fantastic people on the way. Hey, by the way, everybody, it's Pete A. Turner, executive producer and host of your Break It Down show, bringing you today's guest, Brian Dunne. Brian Dunne, what's he do? Well, he plays the drums, and he plays the drums in really big bands. We'll just give you his main gig. He plays with Daryl Hall. OMG. Yeah. So if you guys don't know, Hall & Oates as a band, one of the most successful American bands of all time. There's really no way out of that. You look at how many hits they have, how successful they've been, for how long they have put out relevant music, their impact on other artists, and they come on to Live from Daryl's House and they're like, oh my God, you changed how I saw music. All these influences. And there's Brian and listen, Daryl can hire anybody, and his band is tight. Brian's become a friend because of the show, and we dig what he does. We love talking to him about where he's at with COVID and everything else. So we recorded this one a little while ago, and I think it's always neat when John gets a chance to talk to other drummers because there's just insight that you don't always get. So as musicians, you guys should love this show. And by the way, since this is a musical theme show, I will mention our partnership with Trubify, which continues to expand and grow. If you are a musician, a stand-up comedian, someone who does lives, you should be talking to us about Trubify. You will get paid 10 times what you get paid on YouTube, Spotify. Think about this, a penny for every archival play. So if you're, if you got 100,000 spins, what's 10% of that? That's how much these guys are going to pay you. So you got to get on Trubify, build your audience there. Now these guys are early on. I wouldn't say it's beta, but maybe it's Charlie. These guys, so it's early enough that you can build your audience, get them over there, and start to realize some money. There's options like tipping, there's VIP access, ticket selling, a lot of powerful tools enabled to help creators, especially live creators, build a platform where they can get paid. This app is built by musicians. You will hear more about it. We are big believers in it here, so definitely check us out and talk to us about Trubify. We'd love to talk to you more about that. Okay, Brian Dunne, I don't know what else I can say, just super awesome. And if you aren't hip to Live from Daryl's House, please stop what you're doing right now before you listen to this episode and go to YouTube and start watching episodes and clips from that show because it is just incredible. All right. Enough about all that stuff. Save the Brave, savethebrave.org. You know what to do. A little bit of money goes a long way towards helping veterans want to stay alive, and we need to do that because the suicide rate is going up, not down. So let's continue to dig in and continue to fight. We can do this. We can help these people. All right, one more thing to say to you, and that is here comes Brian Dunne.
Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Proops.
This is Jordan Harbinger.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This is
East.
Sebastian Younger.
This is Rick Marotta.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
Hey, this is Skunk Baxter.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
Brian is in the house. How you been?
Good, man.
It's good to see you. Just to bring you in, I'm going to bio you. You are a New York drummer who really won the gig lottery. I've been talking about what a great gig it is for especially guys who, have a family to just pop out for a few days, go on the road, hit some spots, and then go home. Now, all of that has changed.
Yeah.
So what does your life look like right now, man? Have you been making music? What are you up to?
I mean, 0 gigs, but I have the studio in my house, and I've been doing remote drum sessions for 15 years. That keeps going. But I mean, a lot less because now, people don't have money to be paying sessions, but there's still more of that than I anticipated. And some other cool projects actually because of it. Not money-making ones, but really cool stuff as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about some of those really cool projects. Like what are you up to?
There's a singer, you may know. You know Brent Carter?
I don't. Man, you meet all kinds of people.
Brent was the singer. Brent is the current lead singer for Average White Band, but he was the singer for Tower of Power. He was there for a number of years, probably in the early 2000s to mid 2000s. And he's actually he's kind of the reason I got the gig with AWB, because he used to also sing in this band called the Funk Philharmonic that I was playing with, and he invited the AWB guys down to hang out, and it was the night I was subbing, and he didn't tell me that he invited them, and they were looking for a drummer.
That's a friend.
Yeah.
That's a true homeboy right there.
He wound up doing something for social media. He got in touch with, I think, 4 other lead singers for Tower over the years. Himself, Tom Bowes, Ellis Hall, Larry Braggs, maybe one other, I'm not sure. And he basically said, just sing along with the original recording of What Is Hit.
Yeah.
And set up a camera.
I did see that. That was terrific.
Okay, right. So that idea, right? So from that, he decided he wanted to do work. I got work to do, right?
All right.
Brothers, Average White Band, right? So, but this time, instead of just having a bunch of singers, he wanted to create the track. So there's 12 singers on it. There's 8 drummers. And you're going to love the drummers, too, when I tell you who's on it. And there's only one bass player. There's one guitar player, David Spinoza, who plays the body of the song. And
somebody just had to anchor it.
Yeah, and there's really only one, I think, keyboard player that did the body of the tune as well. Then there are 8 soloists. So there's a horn section, but there's 8 separate soloists as well. And the way they built the track was...
And it's a 22-minute version of I Got Work to Do.
Here's the deal. What they did is they made it so that... Well, let me tell you who's on it. It's Ferroni.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, Steve Ferroni, Garibaldi, Poogie Bell, Herman Matthews.
Oh, man.
Rocky Bryant, Graham Hawthorne, Larnell Lewis, and myself.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, so 8 of us. And what they did was...
That's so many different styles, too.
I know. And everybody did it in their own place or in separate studios. So everybody's sound is going to be a little different. It's not going to sound like a regular recording. There's going to be differences and
hard to normalize.
Yeah. The way they planned it out was we all play the da 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 da, da at the beginning, and then it's Ferroni kind of got the most of the tune because he's Ferroni.
Right.
Steve plays the intro and the first verse, and I think the chorus, and that's it for him, right? And then Garibaldi plays...
That's a lot. That's a lot of a song.
Yeah, he plays a lot. Well, actually, no, he does the intro and the verse. And then that turnaround section is... I think he does the turnaround too. But then Garibaldi plays the next 8 bars of the verse.
Okay.
And then Graham plays 8 bars of the turnaround. And then Rocky plays the third... right? I think it's Rocky plays that for 8 bars. And then the next verse is like Herman Matthews. So we each get an 8-bar chunk, basically.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And then when the solos start, each drummer gets to play behind one 8-bar chunk for one of the soloists.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then at the very end of the tune, there's a horn lick that repeats itself every 4 bars, and every drummer gets to blow for 4 bars at the end.
Wow. Yeah.
So we each get an 8-bar chunk. We get an 8-bar chunk of time, an 8-bar chunk of playing behind the soloist, and then a 4-bar chunk of blowing ourselves.
Wow.
So it's going to be done, like all the playing is done, and I believe it's being mixed like right now. I think it was supposed to be done this week, so it's going to be done any day now.
Okay, so whenever that does get on YouTube, of course, I'm going to watch it about 100 times, but I'm going to share it with Otto, and we'll put it on the show page and all that stuff, because that sounds like a ton of fun, man. We recently had Greg Arico on the show, and when he joined us, he said, yeah, man, he had just wrapped, just like went from 1 to, okay, stop, and then go, to our show. He said, I just wrapped this thing and it was called 5 Drummers. And the 5 drummers, let me see if I remember who they were. They were Greg Arico, Dave Garibaldi, Mike Clark, and the other 2 just flew out of my head. But just all monsters, the whole lot of them. And I was like, what do you do with all that? But whatever challenge that was that they were doing was not, you had 8 of them. That sounds like an amazing idea, man. This is really just kind of spawning all kinds of good stuff that we're all contained and forced to Orson Welles said, the enemy of cinema is the lack of limitation. So here we are living in limitation, and you're getting to create in ways that, you're never called upon to create.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool.
It feels weird for me, like doing the remote session thing that doesn't feel weird. I've been doing that for a long time. But now everything is so visually driven that now just the people that just reach out to have me record a track, it's becoming now that everybody wants video footage of it. And I want to embrace it. I don't want to seem like an old head, but the reality is sometimes if you don't have it one day, and you're trying to get a track done, and you can get 3/4 of the way through a track and get a really, really great take, and you can have one flub. And when you have Pro Tools, it's okay. You just go back and you just punch yourself in and you finish the track, Yep. Now it's like, yeah, can you do this track for me? Great. Oh, and by the way, just throw your phone up and video it. Like it's nothing, right? But you know what?
Yeah, right.
Now
something.
I have to play this song 75 times to get from beginning to end. Like I always everybody tries to play from beginning to end, right? You just get a take. You don't want to get in there and start editing like crazy, right? But oftentimes, you can get a really great take that's 75% of the way through. And because of one little thing, now you have to live with that because now we're videoing. So unless you're willing to and have the time to do it, it may take 15 more times if you're not Vinnie Colaiuta to get one that's you really love. You know what I'm saying? And that other one you had could have been the best you have. But because that video camera is there, now the whole process of punching, it's like gone. So now everything. But the cool thing now, the flip side of that is, I'm not going to lie, when I was 14 looking at the back of records,
yes,
if I had the opportunity to see these dudes playing what I'm hearing, of course I want that. So I understand. I'm loving it and I'm hating it at the same time.
Well, also, let's face it, man, you became famous on a TV show. So your playing is great and all that, but you also fit something in the zeitgeist that people wanted because of the way that you play and the way that it looks and the way that you look playing. The fact that you play traditional. I mean, you just have a unique thing, and it's cool to look at. So if somebody's, reaching out to you for a track, it's like a great bonus that they also get the footage. And I got myself one of these things, not a sponsor, but this supposedly is a great camera for musicians in general, and drummers can set it up, and I can't get it to do what I want it to do. I mean, it's like, okay, it sounds okay, but it records in 4K supposedly, but it looks like shit to me. I don't like it. So there's that. But everything now it looks great on your iPhone. So
it really does. It really does.
Yeah. Oh, we have a viewer who was bummed had tickets for a May 31st show in San Diego. Ticketmaster isn't refunding. Duh. Well, I don't know what to say about that, except let's just say for a minute, I love San Diego, man. San Diego is awesome. And wherever it was you were going to play on May 31st, I'm sure was going to be spectacular, because San Diego in May is just, weather's perfect. A lot of the shows are outdoors, and you guys are so contained and you have such a tight show, but wherever you put that show is going to sound great. San Diego's a great place to play. So Tara, I'm sorry you don't get to see them on May 31st. I have a bone to pick, man, with the way that you guys sounded when I saw you at the Golden One Center. I think your snare drum was buried, and I was very disappointed in that mix. I was trying to make excuses for it too. So for our listeners, we had some great seats. We were probably like maybe 12 rows back and pretty much right in the middle. Yeah, you came out and sat with us, so you know where we were. We had great seats. It should have sounded spectacular right there where we were. But your snare drum was buried. It was not cracking, and somebody's ear was trying to tune into something else, but they weren't paying attention to the snare drum. So for me, that was disappointing. I might have been the only disappointed guy in the whole house, though. So who knows?
I don't know. In places that big, that's out of my hands.
Yeah. And I know that's not anything that you even hear. So what are you hearing? Because you play behind that glass. Ooh, I hate that glass, man. The plexiglass drum shield.
I know. I mean, I'm
Not
looking for ears, so I'm hearing everybody, but I'm not hearing anything that's going out to you guys.
Yeah.
I'm just hearing what's coming out of the monitor, the console on the side of the stage. But what's coming out front's completely different than what I'm hearing. So
for our viewers / listeners, I want to say this because I've had the opportunity a few times to be on the side of the stage with the mix in some cans, and there is no better way to enjoy a show than that, especially if what you've got includes the stage manager, and they're doing lighting commands and stuff, because then you can anticipate the show and they're counting things in. That's a great way to enjoy the show. So if there's any show nerds out there who ever get that opportunity, you absolutely should take it.
Whose mix did you have?
Well, okay, so my friend Derek plays bass. And man, this is so weird because I don't know if we use the word plays anymore because it might be played, and I don't want to jinx anybody. He was the bass player in Ka, which is a Vegas show at the MGM Grand. It's the Cirque du Soleil show at the MGM Grand.
Oh, I met that guy. We talked about him.
Oh, we did. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh, he's awesome. He's one of my dearest old friends. Shoot, we played in like high school jazz band together.
Wow.
And he was down in the pit where their pit is, for our listeners, because you probably went there. Their pit is 6 stories beneath the stage because their stage is crazy. The whole band is down in a studio about 6 stories underneath, and everybody can see each other through glass, and the musical director is kind of in the middle room and he can command things, but I'm in the drum and bass room with their mix in my head. So the drummer Eric and Derek have similar mix going on, and that's what I'm listening to. And so it's also got the stage manager who's barking commands and the musical director who's able to headphone commands. Now, when it's a live stage show, when it's a concert like Hall & Oates, the musical director doesn't have a separate mic where he's saying things to you. Like, oh, here comes the change. Don't forget to turn around, and stuff like that. But you can hear that in that mix during a Cirque or Broadway style show.
Yeah. So
that's pretty interesting. But you guys, what does road life look like coming up? Does anybody anticipate what the next iteration of tour is going to look like?
All we've been told so far is that everything, I don't think anything in August and beyond has been canceled yet.
Oh. But
I'm assuming that it will be. But right now, I mean, I was just in Albany the other day, hanging up in Albany with some friends, and they told me they have tickets at a place called SPAC, and it's like a large place where we play, and they said they're still advertising it like it's happening.
Okay, and that's in August.
That can change. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm anticipating nothing until the fall.
Wow.
But I'm hopeful. But yeah. And at home, all the gigs at home, even the private gigs, all the wedding kind of gigs, all that stuff. People are still, as of yesterday, there's still stuff getting postponed or canceled till next year, in things that are supposed to happen in September of this year.
Yeah, just dried up.
Yep.
What about what are you doing, like sequestered? Are you writing? Are you doing any teaching?
No, I'm not. I thought maybe I would start teaching a little, but I'm not. I mean, I get up in the morning and I wind up doing homework with my son because he's just about finished with his school year. I'm helping him with school during the day or in the early part of the day. My wife never stopped working. She works in a bank. She never missed a single day of work.
Wow.
Nothing's changed. And yeah, I mean, I've just been doing some recording and projects like that thing I told you, and there's another one with this great bass player, Mike Pope.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and this is like I haven't
I
something.
know Mike Pope. He's one of the Trickfish guys.
He's the bass. A what? What was that?
Yeah, isn't he one of the founders of Trickfish Amplification? I mean, he's a jazz bass player and is amazing, but he was one of the guys who was.
Oh, maybe because he designed the preamps in Federa basses, so he's an electronics guy as well. Yeah.
Yeah. He's right. He's an electronic engineer.
Yeah, he's
If I remember correctly.
a crazy musician, man. And he was in the electric band for a short while, actually.
So
he can really.
Yeah. Yes, he was. He's a monster bass player.
Yeah. So he had a he's going to start recording his new record, but he decided to do something probably partially for social media, partially it's just going to be on his record. But it's me and him and this sax player Bobby Franceschini, who plays with Mike Stern. So my part's finished, and again it's something that's videoed, and it's a fusion tune. Lots of blowing, extended drum solo, like stuff I don't usually do. Well, I used to do, but I haven't done in a long time. So it was like crazy for me. So we're just waiting for the sax player to finish his part of it, and then it will be done.
Okay, yeah, please do. You know, the reason Mike Pope sticks out in my mind was because we had one of the other founders of Trickfish Amplification on. His name was Richard, and he passed away. I went to the NAMM show and I went to go meet him because he was going to introduce me to Mike. I went to their booth and I was like, I couldn't find him. And then, I sent him a text and said, hey man, I came looking for you, but I'll catch up with you another time. Hope you're doing all right. I got a text back from his daughter like a few days after I came back from NAMM. She texted me and said, yeah, I'm just catching up to my dad's old texts. I guess you didn't hear that he had passed away. So that's a terrible, man, I just went down to a dark place. But hey, it's Richard Ruse was the guy's name, and he was a great guy too, and a friend of Mike Pope's. But yeah, man, it's great that you are just keeping busy. Hey, you know what happened to me at the last NAMM show? I met Omar Hakim.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And I tried to say, hey, did you ever go into Cafe Wah? I wanted to kind of corner him about going into Cafe Wah while you were in there. But, he was busy being Omar Hakim, and there were 10,000 people trying to get to him. So I didn't get to talk to him for very long. And then, here's another thing made me think about you this year was I saw some reference to Cafe Wah, and I think it was in Mrs. Maisel. And yeah. And I was like, wow. So I went and, I think I poked around and looked. I didn't realize Cafe Wah had been around that long.
Well, yeah. Wow. I mean, when is that show? When does that
show take place in the 60s? Maybe 50s.
Yeah, that makes sense then, because I thought that show was 50s. It's definitely been around since the 60s because Dylan and Jimi Hendrix used to play at the
yeah, right. Bob Dylan, for crying out loud.
Yep.
So, but how about that place? Any word about whether it's going to survive?
I think it will survive, but I mean, there's nothing, no one's reached out. So I have no idea when they're going to try to open it back up.
Yeah, it's been weird, man. There have been some places that have closed down that, I didn't suspect would close after a 3-month hiatus, but 3 months in the club business is a long time.
Yeah.
To not be.
I wonder. Yeah, I mean, you got to have a lot of money, and you got to play the game right with those PPP loans and or whatever they're called. Yeah, I mean, if you're a business owner of any sort, whether it's a restaurant or a live music venue, you're always this close to disaster, unless you have this thing. Is I can't claim to know how well they do, but that's one of the few places that has an absolute built-in group of people that go there all the time, because people come from another country. It's a destination. It's a place where people from all over the world come. Yeah,
to pay homage to the place where Dylan played and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so even if the regulars that live in New York City didn't go, there's still going to be people there. Even if the band playing there on any given night doesn't have a crowd, it almost doesn't matter.
There's going to be a crowd. Yeah.
A decent amount of people there.
I mean, what night was it you were playing there doing the open mic night?
Tuesdays.
Tuesdays. So
Yeah,
there,
right
for
now.
our listeners, that'll give you an idea of right now. Yeah, that'll give you an idea of what's going on at Cafe Wah. They had Brian Dunne in there on fucking Tuesdays. You can only imagine what was going on in there on Friday and Saturday. So anyway, yeah, man. What else? Is there anything that you've heard from like the manufacturers, any other parts of the music business to get kind of a pulse on what's going on?
Not really. Just everything just stopped. You know.
What kind of gear do you play, by the way? Let's plug your the folks who give you gear to play.
DW drums. And Sabian cymbals.
Okay.
Evans drum heads and Vic Firth drumsticks.
All the good stuff. DW drums. Have you heard of John Good's Monday Night Football party that he throws?
No.
He hosts Monday Night Football. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn or outing him or anything, but he hosts Monday Night Football, and he's got a great place to do it, and it's all just drummers.
Really?
Yeah. And I heard about it from JR.
Nice.
And so the whole cast of characters is really just, the top cats who are in LA and whoever happens to be in LA that week.
Right.
And if you're there on a Monday night, you should, if you happen to be in Los Angeles on a Monday night, the next time you're on this side,
I'm going to look it up.
Yeah. Because it's just going to be a room full of guys nerding out talking about drums and football.
Nice.
That's pretty good.
Nice.
So let's see. Sabian cymbals, Vic Firth, Evans drum heads. Yeah, all good stuff. The fact that when you play all that stuff, you're playing the stuff on TV. You're playing the stuff on the road all the time. I imagine they take pretty good care of you and that you've had these relationships for a while.
Yeah. They're great. Everybody's been really great. I did very little work trying to make any of it happen.
All right.
Yeah, it was great for me. I mean, I'm not. I was never the guy that would be willing to get on the phone and try to get something happening.
Yeah.
Like having an endorsement, it just wasn't even on my radar. I was doing the AWB gig and whatever, Patty Austin, like doing some nice stuff, even certain TV stuff, even before the stuff I've been doing lately. And I had nothing.
Wow.
I was just using all my own stuff. The only thing I had, the thing I had for many, many years has been a Vic Firth endorsement.
Okay.
But other than that, I had gear. So I just used what I had. You know what I mean? And I also was never in a situation with a band prior to Hall & Oates where everything was always rented. And if you went to or if you were part of a festival, you play what's at the festival.
Yeah, whatever the backline.
I didn't want to go through the phone calls and trying to get an endorsement when the fact is I'd probably get a kit out of it, maybe, or at the least a kit at a nice price. But it would just be the same. It would be the kit that would be home with me because it wasn't like it was going to be on the road, right? So I'm just going to play what I like. And
let's tell our listeners that too, because a lot of times you see guys who are getting endorsement deals and they're in a magazine ad, but usually those drum companies will give them. I mean, let's face it, you're going on tour, you need durable stuff and you need stuff that sounds great. Your drum kit might be $15,000. And a lot of times guys will get endorsement deals where it's like, you're not an established player with a track record of, magazine articles and everybody following you for years and years. They're just going to give you that set at cost and you still got to shell out for it usually.
Hey, this is Pete A. Turner from Lions Rock Productions. We create podcasts around here. And if you, your brand, or your company want to figure out how to do a podcast, just talk to me. I'll give you the advice on the right gear, the best plan, and show you how to take a podcast that makes sense for you, that's sustainable, that's scalable, and fun. Hit me up at pete@breakitdownshow.com. Let me help. I want to hear about it.
And a lot of times guys will get endorsement deals where it's like, you're not an established player with a track record of, magazine articles and everybody following you for years and years. They're just going to give you that set at cost and you still got to shell out for it usually. Yep. So there's that.
Yeah. No, these guys, and DW is amazing with that stuff, and they've been super, super cool to me. Super cool.
Yeah.
Like,
Good.
over the top. Amazing.
That is a drummer's drum company.
Yeah, man. Like, even actually John Good, I don't know if I told you, I went out to LA. I was going to be going to LA to record Daryl's solo record, right?
Mhm.
Now, 2 years ago, still not released. We worked on a record, and we were going to be at the studio in LA. I didn't know what kind of drums were there, so I figured I'll reach out to my guy at DW, and I was like, just let them know I'm going to be at the studio. And usually when you have an endorsement, you get, if you want to rent a drum set, like from SIR in LA,
Mm-hmm.
I want to, if I don't trust what's in the studio, I'll rent a DW kit. And if I'm a DW artist, that means the rental is usually free.
Mm-hmm.
And then the thing you got to pay for is the cartridge. Someone's got to pay for the cartridge, and someone's got to pay for the prep of the drums. But the rental is free. So, and it was
See how this works, everybody?
Yeah. So
somebody's got to pay for it, and that somebody is you.
Yeah. So in this case, it was like, Daryl's doing a record, and there's gonna be some money spent. They were okay with that. When I told them, I was, look, I can get the drums free, but can you guys take care of the cartridge and the prep fee? And it's like, great, that's great, let's do it. So in the meantime, this guy Garrison is the guy that hooked it up. He must have told John Good, and I show up at the studio, which ironically had already had a DW kit there.
Yeah.
But
because of course it does.
Yeah.
What was the studio? Any place we'd know?
I can't remember the name of it. I'm not going to be able to remember it.
Right.
It was in Westlake, I think.
Okay.
It was a cool studio, and so I get there. There's all kinds of drums there now. And it turns out John Good sent his personal drum set.
Oh.
There.
Okay.
For me to use.
Wow.
Along with about 10 snare drums. And that's where I found out, like, my favorite drum is this snare drum I use that, and I never even knew it existed. It tells you how into gear I am.
Yeah.
There's all these snare drums. The one with the metal edge and the wood in the center, so the edges are perfect. And there's all this like amazing stuff. And every drum I pull out of the case, I hit it. I'm doing this with the engineer, and I'm hitting the drum. He's like, "That sounds cool." Okay, well, and he's making notes for each drum. And then I get to this drum and I put it down and I hit it, and he goes, "Stop! Don't hit it again. Don't move it. Don't even look at it. Just leave the room. You can come back in, and we're gonna use that one, right?" So it turns out it was this DW Super Solid drum, and it's a solid shell snare drum, and because it's just one piece of wood, it's really thick. Because the plies and the glue make the shell stronger, and when it's just wood, it doesn't want to stay round, so it has to be thicker than usual, right?
It's like plywood, everybody.
Yeah, so it's
when you got a piece of hardwood, it has to be thicker.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful drum, and we used it for the entire record. We detuned it, big fat. We tightened it up really, really tight, smacking it. Everything.
Did everything you wanted.
It's ridiculous. So when I got back, I was like, I emailed him. I was like, whatever that is, I want that. It's like, no doubt.
Yeah.
I immediately got one. Like within week. I mean, it took a couple of months to get, but within weeks of doing the session, I had already put an order in for that. Wow. That's like a special.
Yeah. What's the name of that drum?
I
haven't seen the thing.
DW Super Solid.
Super Solid.
And John actually explains it on a video on the DW website, because he found out that he like the DW guys do all the work themselves. With this particular drum, that shell gets created, I think, outside of their thing. Like there's a port, because the guy who created it he has like a custom furniture company, and he literally made a machine that he claimed
just to lathe that drum.
It's a machine. All the lathing, I think the DW guys do, but it's a machine that allows you to bend wood like you've never been able to before. And John Good talks about it in a video. He says this guy took a 6 foot long, 6 foot by 4 foot wide piece of solid oak, and he stuck it in this machine. And when he took it out of the machine with his own hand, he bent it. And after he bent it, it didn't want to pop back.
A 6x4.
Yeah. And instead of being 6x4 when he took it out, it was like 5 by 3.5. It literally shrunk the wood. And it changed.
Let's give some context to people, because a 6x4 is probably what, if you have a 2-story house, ladies and gentlemen, and it has like some kind of floating walkway that goes from your, when you walk in and there's a grand staircase and there's a floating walkway somewhere, that's probably held up by 6x4s.
Yeah.
So that's what you're talking about. You're talking about putting it into a machine that steams it and God knows what to this thing and allows it to be bent by hand.
Yep.
That's craziness.
Yeah.
Wow.
So John Good was like, okay, I can do something with this. This is crazy. So, and the drums are, I can't believe why I can't imagine why there isn't, everybody that's a DW player does not use these things. They sound crazy. Yeah.
And they do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big thing for, there are a lot of drums that sound great at one thing.
Yeah.
And then there are drums that you wish I wish I could detune this thing. I mean, I have a Noble and Cooley that's 8 inches deep that does practically everything. And, but there are just those, like, if I really crank on it, it's okay. It's okay. It's pretty good, but it's sort of out of its range.
Right.
And it takes a very special drum to do whatever you want and to use it for every tune on the album.
We used it on every tune. Yeah. I mean, the stuff didn't vary that greatly, but yeah, I mean, we did some extreme tuning with it, and it was so good. I use that thing for everything I do.
It's like Frank's hot sauce. Yeah. So what do you foresee, man? What are you thinking about in terms of your creation process and what's going to float your boat and how things are going to go? I mean, we've sort of touched on the stuff that you've been doing while we've been in quarantine, but where do you think this is going to go for all of us? What do you think music's going to look like? What do you think the world of music is going to feel like?
Oh, man. I mean, I know that people are going to be thirsting for it to come out and see it. I mean, it's not going anywhere. Music is, it's a must. Got to have it. So
yeah.
I'm not sure about the concert thing, how soon that's going to come back. I don't know how to take what's going on with the disease. So the virus, whatever. It's I don't know if there's going to be really a second wave of it. I think the concert thing is going to be the last thing to come back. I think the small stuff is going to come first. So I'm anticipating working in a club or working locally before we start going out doing concerts again. But man, there's too much unknown to. I mean, I think as long as if there's a vaccine or if less people are getting it, it's going to come back. I just think there's too much unknown to really make a call. You know what I mean?
And that makes us hopeful for the fall and maybe sooner, maybe, those August shows. There's still hope for those August shows.
Right now, they have not told us that it's not happening. So, I mean, I don't want to be too negative. It's just that I'm hearing about second waves and I'm just thinking, like, are we really ready to have, because if you're going to have a venue, like we're playing arenas now. So if you have, I don't know, if you have 15,000 seats in an arena, if they're going to put, 50% capacity in there, how's that money going to warrant?
Yeah, is it worth turning the lights on?
Yeah. So I don't know if that's the answer. I think it's going to have to be, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't work that way. Mathematically, I feel like if you're not going to have people there, how are they going to generate money?
Yeah.
So
I agree. It also does make the atmosphere different. I mean, I love the idea of sitting a little further away from somebody at the movie theater when I'm watching a movie and kicking back. But, part of the experience is that shared, that shared commonality of being at the show together, and the crowd swelling and stuff like that happens when you are jammed together.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just not the same.
I know. I mean, I'm dying. I can't wait to get back to playing. I mean, what's weird? The weird thing for me is I'm starting to practice. I should have been practicing right on it and really hitting it hard, and I didn't. I'll be honest, but now I've been practicing again, which
I feel the same way, man. I should have been practicing. I should have been doing push-ups. I shouldn't have eaten so many damn nachos.
Yeah,
but it happens.
Quickly, speaking of practicing, I'm going to do something I was just playing around with the other day. You know this band Dumpster Funk?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so this New Orleans band. I don't know who the drummer is on this specific record. It's one of their first records. So
okay.
Maybe Earl Palmer, or I'm not sure who, but whoever it is, there's a tune on there. There's this drum groove that is so killing. And it's one of these grooves where when you hear it as a drummer, you hear it and it's like you get it. You hear what the guy's doing. You're hearing ghost notes. It's kind of Garibaldi-ish, But of course, it's got that cool thing that New Orleans drummers do. It's got that swing thing happening, and it's just tough sounding too, right? But when you go to play it,
it doesn't sound like that.
not only does it not sound like that, you start to figure out really fast. Like, it's one of those beats that I could almost immediately, just in a couple of minutes, I can do something that's like it, and something that feels kind of like it in that wheelhouse. But it's definitely not it. And when you really take out the microscope and get in there and start to realize what's going on, it is crazy what this guy is doing. And it could be that some people, some stuff that just falls into your hands may feel really weird to my hands, and vice versa, even if it's something that's not technically difficult. But if you have 45 years of muscle memory, always leading with your right hand and playing like downbeats, let's say if you're playing a groove and you're playing eighth notes on the hi-hat, if you're heavy on the downbeats, that's something that you do, right? And all of a sudden, if you have to accent the E of one and the E of two, it's going to feel odd just because of all the years of never doing that, right? So it's that kind of thing. And now the more I peel away the onion on this groove, I'm like, oh my God.
More stuff uncovered.
Oh, it's so great. It's so fun for me now because I haven't been in that headspace in a long time. So I feel like, so I'm 49 years old, and it's like I still feel like I'm 14 years old and I'm playing to like Joe's
discovering something.
And I'm like, oh my God, what did he just do? And I'm like dropping the needle and playing something 50,000 times. So it feels good. It feels good to do that.
All right, man. That's a good inspiring practice thing. Get us all back in the woodshed properly.
Yeah.
That sounds good. I'm glad that thing found you. I managed to stumble upon just at the beginning of, really before the quarantine really started to close up. There was somebody here where I live who was getting rid of like the entry-level Alesis electronic little 5-piece, that I think retails for like $199, and I picked it up for $40.
Nice.
And it was just somebody who was like, I'm moving and my husband's got to get rid of this damn thing. He never plays it anyway. So my wife swooped it up and said, hey, I found you a little electronic kit. I paid $40 for it. Go get it. So I went and got it and I played it, and it's got like 5 preset kits. And of course, one of them's kind of got sort of pseudo 808 sounds on it. So I just spent like a bunch of time playing droning hip hop grooves from 1988. I'm playing NWA grooves and stuff that just because that was the drum set. Then I went scrolling through the other drum sets and they were not nearly as fun. So I always found myself going back to that one. So that was my quarantine practice experience.
Nice.
But it was pretty cool. It was just little different voicings to play around with.
Yep.
Every once in a while, I will play traditional just because I want to play a little more like you. And I'll tell you, man, there are some things that I can do. Like one of the things that's okay for me is a consistent snare sound. So like if I'm just touching the rim on the backbeat, I can stay laying in there, and that feels really good, that one subtlety. But if I change up and do something else, try to go around the toms and then come back, I got to feel my way back to that sweet spot. And then the other thing is just hitting the crash on the left side.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I just don't crank up that way. I suppose that just comes with the miles.
Yeah, man. I want to get this together, but I like, because this feels good. This feels weird to me because I literally never did the match grip thing, but
never ever,
like literally never. I won't even play a snare drum hit if I'm playing a rim click on 2 and then a snare hit on 4. I'll flip the stick around.
You got to flip it around.
Oh
man!
Just to hit the drum once.
Yeah.
So recently I actually started playing match because I discovered I was trying to play a go-go beat that incorporated tom-toms, and I wanted to be able to play. I mean, the real way to do go-go, I think, and the great go-go drummers I've seen in DC, those guys they're not playing so much tom-toms. They're playing pocket, and that's what the hand drummers are taking care of that. But when you don't have that and you need to take care of both things,
it's just you.
When it's just you. So when I would do that at the club I play in, I would play grooves where I would be playing backbeat with my left hand on the snare, and I was playing just coming up and down off the toms, and I was playing melodies on the toms and playing the groove with my kick and snare, right? But then I realized, like, I've seen a few guys playing kick, hat, and snare left hand, leaving their right hand wide open to just play on the tom-toms and do whatever they want, right? And that's like a whole nother independence thing to get, right? Because again, not only do I not play match, I also don't play left-hand lead. So that was another thing that I started practicing. So when I first started doing it, I was playing kick, snare, and hat with traditional grip. And you want to see, hitting a crash cymbal is weird. Playing time on a hi-hat. And snare drum with traditional grip, playing funk way with your left hand, that's like really weird. So I was like,
you're going to throw a shoulder out.
I need to play match grip if I'm going to attempt this stuff. So I started playing match to accommodate this like go-go style groove. I don't even want to call it go-go, but I'm trying to somehow make something sound go-go-ish. And just to do that, I had to do it with match grip. So I started fooling around with the match grip, but no matter how much I do it, there's too many years of this. There's too much muscle memory. So when I go down to play the drums, if I'm not thinking, it's just I'm playing, and then I go, oh wait, I'm playing traditional. Like it's just I can't get away from it.
Wow.
But I embrace it. I like it anyway. So
I appreciate you coming on the show. I appreciate you being vulnerable and making those admissions. It's always a pleasure to see you, man, and always a pleasure to talk to you and nerd out with you and to express how much I enjoy your playing. And I know I speak for a lot of our listeners, man. And when I say I hope everything turns around so that you can continue to spread the joy of your fantastic drumming to all of us all around the world, and you guys can get back on the road and get out there. And I hope that you also get to do more projects where you get to have fun, like you've been doing with other drummers and other players online as you have.
Cool, man. Thanks.
Cool. So, man, we've had you for an hour. I want to respect your time, but hey, I'm going to keep in touch with you, man, and just shoot you a text every now and again. I promise you, I think about you much more frequently than I text you or call. So, and of course, as we get back to having concerts, when you come back around the Bay Area or wherever I happen to be at the same time as you, I hope we can run into each other again. One last question. How much has the show changed since I saw you a year ago? Because it was a year ago in May when I saw the show in Sacramento. How much evolution do you guys go through in that amount of time? Or had you guys just started the tour?
We did. Yeah.
Then, right? So probably not much.
No. I think we were going to, I'm trying to think what was going to change. I mean, here's the thing. There's no rehearsals in this band. There's no like getting ready for the tour. And it's like, we can just not see each other for months. and just meet out on the road and just do a sound check, and we're back.
Yeah.
And Daryl can just call any tune he wants.
Right. Well, let's start off with, this is what happens when you're in Hall & Oates. Hey, do you guys know Sarah Smile? Who in the hell has ever played an instrument and doesn't know 50 Hall & Oates tunes?
Yeah.
So there's that. And then there's the fact that everybody in the band is, you're all accomplished players who know those tunes, but a lot of you guys have in clusters played together for a long while. So
yeah,
you got similar vocabularies. What a great playing situation, man. Couldn't happen to a better dude. I'll say that.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks.
So
we were this tour, man. We luckily for us, we got to play Madison Square Garden. We did,
man.
The end of February. And after MSG, we had a little bit of break, and then we were going to get ready to do 3 long legs with Squeeze, this band called Squeeze. Then the thing happened.
Wow. Did you guys interface with Squeeze at all?
Nothing that we were going to do together. We hung with them, and they opened for us at the Garden, and we played.
So who's in Squeeze? Is it still Jules Holland? Is it still is it still Gilson Lavis? Because
man, I don't know anybody's name. It's not Jules Holland though.
Oh,
trying to think of, I don't know anybody's name, man. The drummer is like really cool. They sound so good too. Those tunes are that's another band, like
great tunes.
Like I can remember my brother showing me Tempted by the Fruit of Another, right? And there's that drum fill. It's like it's a straight groove, and then the fill is swung. It's like halfway through the second verse, and there's like this cool little drum fill, and it was like a religious thing in our house. Like little things like that. My brother was he's such a great musician. He always had the microscope out. When we would turn on the show Taxi.
Full of drummers. Oh, Taxi, dude! Taxi had
hi-hat comes in. That's a Bob James tune, right?
Yeah, right.
When the drums come in, it's and my brother would go, "Here comes the hi-hat, ready?" And he pointed. It was like little things like that. And both my brothers were that way. So the Squeeze thing was like that. So Tempted, that I knew, like to me, I was a little kid. I knew about Tempted. I knew the drum part. I knew the drum fill. So being in Madison Square Garden with these guys was like, wow, this is crazy.
Wow, that's terrific. Do you remember when Vinny was on the Joan Rivers? Yeah, and he'd get his fill every night. Oh, man, I would tune into that thing, and I know there were thousands of us who would just tune into that thing to hear that fill, and then our minds would be blown night after night, and we'd just turn the TV off.
There's a thing on YouTube of a guy that put together like 100 of them, like what she ever did.
God bless that dude.
Yeah, it's insane. He's an endless well. He's a freaking endless well, man.
Yep.
Hey
man, I could do this all night with you. I'm not kidding about that. I really could, but I don't want to keep you all night because you've got stuff to do. So. Okay, one last one then, since we're on it. Did you ever get into Chuck Morris from the Arsenio Hall show?
Yeah. And did he play left-handed?
No, I don't think he played left-handed.
He played a right-handed kid.
Yeah, he played a right-handed kid, but he played open.
Yeah, like Carter Buford or that kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Man, he was so good.
I never heard of anything about him after that.
I guess he quit playing the drums for a long time. Now, I don't know what has happened because for a brief moment in time, I saw Chuck Morris on Facebook. So I hit that friend request and he said yes. And then I stopped seeing him in my feed. So I don't know how long that lasted, but I'm going to go try and dig him out and see if he'll do the show because, man, we were totally into Chuck Morris because he would get a little piece too. Arsenio would come out and he would say something and he would point with his big finger and he would go, "It's Chuck Morris." And the bass player's name was John B. Williams. And one time I was at the NAMM show in like 1988 and I saw John B. Williams and I was like, oh, that's the bass player from the Arsenio Hall show. Where's he going? And he was walking into the Days Inn right there in Anaheim. So I was like, well, I don't know where he's going, but I'm going to follow him because if he's going to pick up a bass and play, that's going to be awesome. And I walked in there and he was immediately swarmed by a bunch of people. And a lot of nice-looking young ladies. And then I didn't see him after that, and he's a really tall dude, so he was easy to see. But then I just lost track of him because playing at the bar in the Days Inn, I look over, and I was like, and it was just a little hotel bar with a little, like, stage that was 10 inches off the ground. And I look over and I go, that's Eddie Van Halen and Alan Holdsworth. And they were playing at the bar at the Days Inn. I was like, oh.
Wow.
So, yeah, I lost John B. Williams, but I lost him because I was looking at Eddie Van Halen jamming with Alan Holdsworth.
Nice.
Tucked away in a corner somewhere. Anyway, love to have you on the show. Always a great time. Thank you so much for doing it with us.
Cool, man. Thanks,
and let's do it again sometime soon.
Sure. Let's do it.
Right on, man. All the best to you, everybody. This is Brian Dunne, and you can catch him on all of the YouTube reruns and wherever you can see live from Daryl's house. You should watch it. Oh, Access TV.
Yeah,
that's great because they do stuff in high def and it sounds fantastic. Mm-hmm. So check it out, and hopefully you'll be back on the road soon, and we'll all get to see you again.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
All right, man.
Brian Dunne, everybody.
See you later.